Have you ever questioned why you respect certain people? Perhaps you admire them for their success, charisma, or power. But what if these qualities mask deeper flaws, behaviors that Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, warned us never to respect? In this video, we'll dive deep into 10 behaviors and characteristics that, according to Stoicism, do not deserve our respect. These behaviors are not just personal shortcomings, they are obstacles to living a virtuous life, and they disrupt the harmony of society. By understanding these Stoic teachings, you will gain the tools to make better choices about whom to admire, whom to associate with, and, most importantly, how to live a more meaningful and principled life yourself. What if you could recognize dishonesty before it ruins your trust? What if you could identify arrogance before it blinds someone to their own flaws? By watching this video until the end, you'll not only gain insight into why Stoicism advises us to withhold respect from these behaviors, but you'll also learn how to apply these timeless principles in your daily life. This isn't just about judging others. It's about cultivating wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance in yourself. Stick with us, and by the end, you'll have a clearer understanding of the path to living a life that earns genuine respect, rooted in Stoic virtues. 1. Dishonesty, the collapse of trust. How often have you felt the sting of betrayal when someone you trusted lies to you? Dishonesty erodes trust, the very foundation upon which all meaningful relationships are built. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, reminds us that honesty isn't merely a virtue, it's a moral imperative that binds individuals together in society. Without truth, there can be no justice, no wisdom, and no courage. Consider this: why should we respect those who engage in deception? To the Stoics, honesty is about much more than not telling lies. It's about aligning your words with reality, a reflection of your integrity. Think about the people in your life. How many times have you caught someone in a lie and then tried to convince yourself that it was just a small lie? But as Marcus Aurelius teaches, no lie is insignificant. Every deception, no matter how small, weakens the bonds between people. Dishonesty is a violation not just of your trust, but of the Stoic understanding of justice and order in the world. For a Stoic, aligning with truth is to align with nature itself, with the universal order. To live otherwise is to live against the grain, in disharmony with life and those around you. When you encounter dishonesty, do you ask yourself, what harm does this falsehood do, not just to me, but to the world at large? We must stop respecting those who choose falsehood over truth. To respect the dishonest is to condone behavior that weakens society. Marcus Aurelius believed that by honoring only those who are truthful, we contribute to a more just and virtuous world. Imagine the power of living in a society where truth is valued above personal gain. By withholding respect from liars and deceivers, you take a stand for justice and contribute to a world built on honesty and integrity. From dishonesty, we now turn to another destructive trait: arrogance. What does arrogance do to a person's soul, and why should we be cautious about those who embody it? 2. Arrogance, the blindness to one's own flaws. When you come across someone who constantly boasts, someone who believes they are better than others, do you feel a sense of admiration, or does it make you question their true wisdom? Arrogance is the enemy of self-awareness, and Marcus Aurelius cautioned us against respecting those who are full of pride. In the Stoic worldview, arrogance is a sign of ignorance. It blinds individuals to their own limitations and prevents them from engaging in the kind of self-reflection that leads to growth. Ask yourself, what is it about arrogance that should make us withhold respect? When people believe they are above others, they stop learning, stop improving, and stop recognizing their own faults. Arrogance leads to stagnation, because the arrogant person refuses to see their flaws or accept feedback from others. In contrast, Stoicism teaches humility, the recognition that we are all on a journey of self-improvement and that none of us is infallible. The truly wise person understands their own ignorance. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize?" This level of introspection is what separates the arrogant from the humble. Those who lack this ability often project their own insecurities onto others, further distancing themselves from the path of virtue. How often have you encountered someone whose arrogance created unnecessary conflict or division? The Stoic approach would be to engage in self-examination and seek common ground, but the arrogant person does the opposite. They erect walls of superiority and close themselves off from connection. Can we afford to respect this kind of behavior, knowing that it breeds resentment and discord? When you choose to respect humility over arrogance, you contribute to a world that values learning, growth, and unity. The next time you encounter someone whose arrogance commands respect, consider this: do they inspire others to be better, or do they merely inflate their own sense of self-worth? Marcus Aurelius urges us to honor those who are humble, those who recognize their flaws and seek to improve. Humility is the foundation of wisdom, and without it, there can be no progress. After arrogance comes another form of indulgence that Stoicism warns us about: self-indulgence. How does this behavior erode one's character and distract from the pursuit of virtue? 3. Self-indulgence, a distraction from virtue. Do you ever find yourself consumed by the desire for comfort, luxury, or pleasure? In a world that celebrates indulgence, it's easy to lose sight of the Stoic principle of temperance, the practice of self-control and moderation. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." The pursuit of immediate gratification often leads us away from what truly matters: virtue and purpose. Why do we so easily fall into the trap of self-indulgence? The answer lies in our desire to escape discomfort and uncertainty. But what does it cost us? Every time we prioritize fleeting pleasures over long-term values, we weaken our ability to practice self-discipline. Stoicism teaches that true happiness is not found in material goods or sensual pleasures, but in living a life aligned with wisdom and virtue. Ask yourself, what do I truly gain from indulging in excess? Does it bring me closer to the person I want to be? Those who constantly chase comfort and pleasure are often running away from the harder, more meaningful path of self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius cautions us not to respect those who let self-indulgence define their lives. Respecting such behavior only reinforces the false notion that pleasure is the ultimate goal of life. Consider this: Stoicism teaches us that life is fleeting and our time here is limited. Do we want to spend our days chasing temporary satisfaction, or do we want to cultivate virtues that will leave a lasting impact on ourselves and those around us? By choosing to respect those who live with temperance and discipline, we elevate the values that lead to a more purposeful existence. As you reflect on the role of self-indulgence in your own life, remember that true freedom comes not from indulging every desire, but from mastering them. This brings us to an important point. If you find this reflection helpful, you'll want to stay with us for the rest of this video. We have several more essential insights ahead that will guide you toward a life of greater wisdom and clarity. Next, we will explore the dark side of human nature, malice, and why respecting it is a path to further harm. 4. Malice, the poison of intentional harm. Have you ever encountered someone who takes pleasure in causing harm to others? This kind of behavior, known as malice, is a far cry from the Stoic virtues of empathy, compassion, and forgiveness. Marcus Aurelius urges us to withhold respect from individuals who engage in malicious actions, as malice is a sign of a corrupt and unenlightened soul. But what is malice, and why is it so destructive? Malice is the deliberate intent to hurt others, either emotionally or physically. It stems from anger, hatred, or a desire for power, none of which align with the Stoic ideal of inner peace. In a world that often witnesses the escalation of conflicts and the spread of harm, the Stoic response is to rise above such impulses and seek the higher ground of understanding and forgiveness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil." This acknowledgement of human imperfection helps us prepare for encountering malice. Yet, Stoicism teaches that we do not have to mirror such behavior. By not respecting those who engage in malice, we break the cycle of harm and negativity. Ask yourself, how do I respond when I encounter someone acting with malice? Do I reflect their behavior, or do I choose the Stoic path of restraint and empathy? Respecting malice only perpetuates more harm, creating a culture where cruelty and anger are validated. Instead, Marcus Aurelius encourages us to respect those who practice kindness and forgiveness, those who choose to heal rather than hurt. By showing respect to individuals who embody the Stoic virtues of compassion, we contribute to a more harmonious and just society. What kind of world do we want to build? A world where harm is celebrated, or one where understanding and forgiveness are the highest values? This leads us to another destructive force, greed, which undermines the principles of fairness and generosity that Stoicism cherishes. 5. Greed, the empty pursuit of wealth. How often do we see people driven by the relentless pursuit of wealth and possessions, no matter the cost to their integrity or to others? Greed is a powerful force that blinds individuals to the needs of others, fostering inequality and injustice. Marcus Aurelius believed that the Stoic ideal was to live a life focused on wisdom and virtue, not the accumulation of material goods. To respect those who are greedy is to validate a hollow and superficial life. In the Stoic view, the pursuit of wealth for its own sake is a distraction from what truly matters. Ask yourself, does the endless accumulation of wealth lead to a fulfilled life, or does it create a deeper sense of emptiness? Those who are obsessed with wealth often lose sight of the more important aspects of life: compassion, generosity, and the well-being of others. Consider this: the richest person is not the one with the most money, but the one who needs the least. Stoicism teaches that contentment comes from appreciating what you have, rather than constantly seeking more. Greed leads to an insatiable hunger for more, but it can never be satisfied. Marcus Aurelius urges us to respect those who prioritize wisdom, generosity, and the common good over the pursuit of material gain. Now, reflect on your own life. Are there people around you who place greed above all else? Should these people truly command your respect? Or should we instead honor those who act in service of others, who use their resources to lift others up, rather than accumulate more for themselves? By withholding respect from the greedy, we uphold the Stoic principle that a life of virtue is far more valuable than any amount of wealth. Before we continue, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. How have you seen greed affect those around you? And what have you learned from observing its consequences? Let's engage in this discussion and explore how Stoicism can guide us toward a more meaningful existence, free from the distractions of greed. Next, we'll turn our attention to another dangerous trait: cruelty, and why Stoicism advises us to reject those who practice it. 6. Cruelty, a sign of moral decay. Have you ever witnessed someone inflicting suffering on others, not out of necessity, but out of a desire to control or dominate? Cruelty, the intentional infliction of pain, stands in direct opposition to the Stoic virtues of wisdom, courage, and justice. Marcus Aurelius warned that cruelty is a manifestation of a decayed moral state, a departure from the harmony and compassion that Stoicism seeks to cultivate in society. Why does cruelty exist, and why should we withhold respect from those who practice it? Cruelty is often driven by emotions like anger, hatred, or a desire for revenge, emotions that the Stoic philosophy teaches us to rise above. When individuals act with cruelty, they not only harm others, but also degrade their own character. Marcus Aurelius believed that we always have the choice not to feel harmed by external events, and in that same vein, we should not allow ourselves to be influenced by the cruelty of others. Ask yourself, how do I respond to cruelty? Do I match it with anger, or do I take the Stoic approach and choose compassion? Stoicism emphasizes that the true test of character is how we respond to the challenges and actions of others, even those who try to harm us. To respect cruelty is to allow it to thrive, to validate its presence in our world. Instead, we must honor those who show kindness and empathy, even in the face of adversity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." This teaching encourages us to detach from the malice of others, recognizing that their actions do not define our inner peace. When cruelty arises, we can choose to resist the temptation to react with the same energy. By doing so, we maintain our integrity and contribute to a more just and compassionate world. As we reflect on the dangers of cruelty, we should remember that our own reactions can either perpetuate the cycle of harm or break it. By refusing to respect those who practice cruelty, we break that cycle and stand for a world built on justice, not violence. Next, we will explore ignorance, a trait that Marcus Aurelius advises us to reject, and how it contributes to misunderstanding and division. 7. Ignorance, the root of misunderstanding. In today's world, ignorance is all around us. Misinformation spreads rapidly, and many people choose to remain uninformed rather than seeking knowledge. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that ignorance is not just the absence of knowledge, but a refusal to seek understanding. Respecting those who embrace ignorance only perpetuates a culture of misunderstanding and division, one that hinders the growth of individuals and society. What does it mean to be ignorant in the Stoic sense? It's not simply about lacking knowledge, it's about being closed off to learning, refusing to question assumptions, and failing to think critically. The Stoic virtue of wisdom calls us to constantly seek the truth, to understand what is within our control and what is not. When we respect ignorance, we are condoning intellectual laziness and a lack of curiosity, traits that are detrimental to personal and collective progress. Ask yourself, am I respecting those who actively choose ignorance? Do I admire people who avoid the pursuit of truth? Marcus Aurelius warned that everything we see and hear is just one perspective, not the absolute truth. To stop seeking wisdom is to stagnate, to halt growth, and to miss out on the deeper understanding of life and its complexities. In a world full of opinions and perspectives, Stoicism offers a path to discernment. It reminds us that critical thinking and the pursuit of wisdom are essential for living a virtuous life. By rejecting those who embrace ignorance, we challenge ourselves and others to grow, learn, and evolve. This is not about intellectual superiority, but about valuing the search for truth over comfort. Think about the people you admire. Do they encourage you to think critically, to challenge your assumptions, or do they remain content with surface-level understanding. As we navigate a world filled with information, we must choose carefully whom we respect. To respect those who value knowledge is to contribute to a society that honors wisdom and truth over ignorance. Next, we turn to a more subtle but equally harmful behavior: cowardice, the failure to act in the face of fear. Why should we withhold respect from those who let fear dictate their actions? 8. Cowardice, the betrayal of courage. When faced with adversity, how do you respond? Do you take action even when it's difficult, or do you let fear hold you back? Cowardice, the lack of courage in the face of challenges, is a behavior that Stoicism urges us not to respect. Marcus Aurelius believed that courage is essential for living a life of virtue, and without it, we cannot confront the obstacles that stand in the way of justice, wisdom, and growth. Why is cowardice so harmful? At its core, cowardice is the abandonment of principles out of fear. When we choose inaction or avoidance over standing up for what is right, we betray not only ourselves, but also the Stoic ideals of courage and resilience. Stoicism teaches that adversity is an opportunity for growth, and without courage, we miss the chance to become stronger and wiser. Ask yourself, how many times have I allowed fear to prevent me from acting according to my values? And how often do I respect those who avoid difficult situations? In a Stoic life, fear is not something to be eliminated, but something to be understood and overcome. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act in spite of it. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that life is full of challenges, and it is through facing these challenges that we grow. Those who let fear control their actions do not grow. Instead, they shrink away from life's trials. To respect cowardice is to respect stagnation, and that is something Stoicism advises against. We must value those who show resilience, who step forward even when the path is difficult. As we reflect on cowardice, think about the opportunities for growth that fear may have held you back from. Respect those who confront their fears and show the courage to stand by their principles, no matter the cost. Next, we move to a behavior that strikes at the heart of selfishness, self-centeredness, and why Stoicism advises us to reject it. 9. Self-centeredness, the isolation from humanity. Have you ever met someone who seems entirely focused on their own needs, disregarding the well-being of others? Self-centeredness, the preoccupation with one's own desires, runs counter to the Stoic understanding of human interconnectedness. Marcus Aurelius believed that we are all part of a greater whole, and to live only for oneself is to miss the essence of life's purpose. What does self-centeredness do to a person's character? It isolates them from the community, preventing them from contributing to the common good. Stoicism teaches that true fulfillment comes not from selfish desires, but from acts of compassion and service to others. To respect those who live selfishly is to endorse a life of narrow focus, one that lacks the broader vision of human unity and shared purpose. Ask yourself, am I respecting people who place their own needs above the well-being of others? Do I admire those who hoard resources, attention, or affection without considering their impact on the community? In the Stoic view, such behavior leads to moral decay because it denies the fundamental Stoic belief in justice and the common good. When you reflect on the people you respect, consider whether they act out of self-interest or a genuine desire to improve the world around them. Marcus Aurelius emphasized that we should respect those who strive to benefit society, who practice empathy and seek to alleviate suffering. Self-centeredness creates barriers between individuals, fostering division and indifference, which are toxic to the Stoic vision of a harmonious society. As we move away from the destructive force of self-centeredness, we now turn to injustice, the violation of rights and fairness, and why Stoicism holds it as one of the gravest offenses. 10. Injustice, the violation of virtue. What happens when we tolerate injustice? Marcus Aurelius believed that justice is one of the cardinal virtues in Stoicism, and to respect those who act unjustly is to erode the very foundation of a virtuous society. Injustice is not merely an act of wronging another person. It is a betrayal of the Stoic principles of fairness, equity, and respect for human dignity. Why should we reject injustice in all its forms? Injustice breeds resentment, division, and moral decay. When individuals commit acts of injustice, they not only harm others but also damage the ethical fabric of society. Stoicism teaches us that we must stand up for what is right, even when it is difficult. To respect those who engage in unjust behavior is to condone inequality and oppression. Ask yourself, do I tolerate injustice, either by my actions or my inaction? Do I respect those who allow injustice to persist? Marcus Aurelius reminds us that to live justly is to live in harmony with the world, and that means standing against injustice wherever we see it. Injustice disrupts the Stoic balance of society, where each person is treated with fairness and dignity. By choosing to respect only those who uphold justice, we align ourselves with the Stoic ideal of creating a more equitable and virtuous world. Think about how many injustices you encounter in daily life, whether large or small, and reflect on how you respond to them. To live a life of virtue is to resist injustice in all its forms and to honor those who champion fairness and equality. In this journey through the teachings of Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism, we've explored 10 behaviors that do not deserve our respect: dishonesty, arrogance, self-indulgence, malice, greed, cruelty, ignorance, cowardice, self-centeredness, and injustice. Each of these traits stands in opposition to the Stoic virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. By withholding respect from those who embody these behaviors, we choose to live in alignment with the Stoic path, cultivating a more virtuous and harmonious world. As we reflect on these lessons, I encourage you to think about the people in your life and the behaviors you respect. Are they living according to Stoic principles, or are they falling into the traps of these harmful traits? Let's continue this discussion in the comments. Share your thoughts on how Stoicism has helped you navigate these challenges and what you've learned about respect along the way. If you found value in this reflection, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who are on a similar journey of self-improvement and wisdom. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of Stoicism, and may you continue to cultivate a life of virtue and purpose.